Hello and welcome everyone to my Let's Play Tomb Raider 3, The Adventures of Lara Croft. Wow, I believe it has been over 2 years since we have finished the Golden Mask expansion of Tomb Raider 2, and really it's about high time to move on to the next chapter in the original trilogy, and the most difficult one. Yeah, so excited to be finally doing this. Some of you who have played the previous installments will be familiar with the main menu screen. Once again we have a Polaroid picture here saying Lara's home, which will take us to the training level, which is basically the main topic of this particular video. Then we have Lara's passport, with which we can access the new game directly, but later about that. And we have a few control settings, sound settings, and some visual details. As you can see, these are now more detailed than used to be in Tomb Raider 2, so that's a good thing. And once again, the keys are fully customizable, which has always been a great thing about the PC version. Anyway, just like my previous Let's Plays, this one will focus on finding all the objects, killing all the enemies, showing you where all the secrets are, basically to give you a detailed guide on how you can tackle different levels and challenges within them, and letting you know about all the resources you have at your disposal. So I highly encourage you to just find your own unique playstyles. I'm here to just make you aware of your options. That's basically it. Now, without further ado, let's finally enter Lara's home, see what the differences are since the second game. We get an amazing loading screen. Now, first of all, before we go anywhere, let us just check out the in-game menu screen. Due to some glitch, there is the Lara's Mansion background as the inventory screen background, which is actually really amazing. It looks great. Under normal circumstances, you would just see the exact same spot you paused the game in, but just faded out in black and white. However, due to some glitch on newer operation systems, this is what's happening. And honestly, as far as Lara's home goes, I think it looks amazing, even better than if it would have worked. Now, there's not really much scrolling to do here. All we have is a statistics watch, just like in Tomb Raider 2, and we see best times, assault course, no times yet, interestingly enough. So yeah, just like in the second Tomb Raider, which we actually started right at the beginning of the assault course, with Lara giving a bit of a speech about her grueling business last year, the Atlantean Scion, we are now thrown into Lara's bedroom. But yes, this tells us there will be an assault course to complete, but oh my god, this place has been so expanded upon since the second game. And you can then access this options menu, with which you can just return to the main menu screen. But thankfully this time, Lara's home level has a genuine way out of the level, unlike in the second game. Okay, so let's take a look around.
Welcome back to my humble abode. Feel free to take a look around. Okay,
now we take a look around after Lara has officially invited us to do so. Now, the first thing is you might be attracted like a moth to a flame don't. While the fire particles look really amazing as opposed to the previous game where it was just this 2D sprite, the fire is still very lethal. Yeah, so we see Lara's bed, where she inspected the dagger of Jean, or how to pronounce it, I still haven't really learned. And instead of a supply closet with a shotgun, all we get is a box of flares. Yes, not everything has been improved upon. I see Lara must have made a few cuts, not butts, in her budget. And yeah, so we get a pack of 8 flares. Now, I'm not absolutely sure if my memory serves me correct, but in the previous game it was 6 flares per pickup. Now we get 8, which is awesome, because there are actually 8 flares inside. You know, this actually corresponds with the object model itself. However, at least in the PlayStation version, the flares run out very quickly, as opposed to the second game. Now, once again, let's revisit Lara's bathroom. She has a toothbrush, a sink, mirror, 2 toilets for some reason. I imagine she and Winston just, know each other so well they share them and discuss the newspaper or something. Then there's a shower corner where Lara shotgunned all persistent viewers after the very last level of Tomb Raider 2. And then we have a pool which now has a deeper water, so we have to wade through it, yeah, just like that, and has some amazing textures inside, which we will see at a different place later on. Should you accidentally catch a fire over there, you might maybe just make it into the fire, into the water to douse yourself, especially using a new sprint feature. New to Tomb Raider 3, but later about that. We can admire the balcony, but yeah, let's move on. My goodness, this was actually the very first Tomb Raider I have ever played in my life. I think I got it as part of a game spec in 2000 exactly, so even by then it was relatively old. But we had our first PC in 1999, and this came packed with video game Braveheart and Formula 1908. And this game itself was released in 1998. So yeah, good times. And now we see the Grand Hall. I think it looks really amazing, the best it ever looked so far. Over in the corner here we see this statue, a bust of a very old man. Of course, child logic, when I was young I just assumed, an older guy, this must be Lara's father. And actually, why not? He was a famous archaeologist of his time. Maybe had a bit of a sense of humor and made an artifact in his own likeness. Hard to say, really. And what we see, this really red, how would it be, red color on the corner, this is actually the dynamic lighting of, lighting of Tomb Raider 3. Unlike previous games, this has been expanded upon.
Press and hold the look button. Then press in the direction you want to look.
Thank you for the advice, Lara, but we already put that into the practice, yeah. So, for those of you completely new to the Tomb Raider series, I would maybe suggest to watch Lara's Home from my Tomb Raider 1 or Tomb Raider 2 Let's Play. I'm not going to be focusing on the very basics here, I'm going to be expanding upon the knowledge we received later, but yeah, you can basically just look around holding the look key. The controls up and down are inverted, which actually suits me just fine. And whilst we were looking around, this creepy old bastard came here. This is Winston, Lara's faithful butler, who I don't know why I love to abuse him. And most of you are familiar with the fate that meets Winston in this place. What we're gonna do to him. It's just a really nice tradition among Tomb Raider fans, and I will show you very soon what I mean about that. But first, let's go downstairs. The reason I'm going downstairs now and I don't want to show you, the music room from Tomb Raider 1 and the mysterious door there, is because we'll explore that part of the mansion. But first, I think, as I mentioned, some of you might be new to the Tomb Raider series. Let's take a look at the gym where Lara will walk us through all the different moves.
Let's go into the gym. Those of you who've been here before may notice the new decor. What do you think? Well, let's do some exercises. I think we should do them in order.
Okay, in order meaning numerical order. You can see number 1 displayed over here. So let's see what the first task will be.
I don't actually run everywhere. When I want to be careful, I walk. Hold down the walk button and walk to the white line.
Okay, so while holding the walk button, you could have seen this before, this is what I'll be doing.
With the walk button down, I won't fall off, even if you try to make me. Go on, try it.
Lara is right. I am showing extraordinary effort trying to make her fall whilst holding the walk button, but I cannot do it. This is kind of a safety walk. Now, it has more uses than just not falling off ledges. Basically to slow you down, to give you more accurate setup, and also to walk through some dangerous spikes and areas like that without really Lara hurting herself in any way. So it has very many uses. It's a great feature. We can just drop down now.
If the jump is too far for me, I can grab the ledge and save myself from a nasty fall. Walk to the edge next to the white line until I won't go any further. Then press jump, immediately followed by forward, and while I'm in the air, press and hold the action button.
I love how Winston is following us, trying to prove to himself, oh, I can still do this, I'm not that old. Oh dear God, he's gonna injure himself. Well, we're not picking him up. Okay, so what Lara just said is, well, actually she skipped into relatively complicated bit of controls now. First, we are gonna use the walk feature we learned before to walk to the very edge to have a good setup for a jump. Now, you can jump in 4 directions. This was illustrated by me in the previous Lara's Home mentions, actually. This used to be a ballroom with wonderful Venetian classical music playing, and was repurposed into a gym, just like in Tomb Raider 1. So Lara kind of changed her mind twice about having a gym. It's really funny. It used to be bigger, but now we have a mysterious door that will never open, leading to a kitchen area. where we will be a bit later and seal Winston's fate. So until then, what Lara asked us to do is not only to press the jump button followed by a forward key, but also to press the control key. Not only are we jumping,
and I'll climb up.
but we also, by pressing the action key, we can grab the edge of this square here, and now by pressing forward while still holding it, Lara will climb up, just like she said. Okay, so basically this is kind of a combined move, that's why I called it complicated. You'll get used to it.
If I do a running jump, I can make a jump like that, no problem. Walk to the edge with the white line until I stop. Then let go of walk and tap backwards to give me a run up. Press forward and almost immediately press and hold the jump button. I won't actually jump until the last minute.
Okay, so if you have no idea what we're gonna do, it must have sounded awfully confusing, but what we're gonna do, we used walk to get to the very edge. We'll just tap backwards once. As you can see, the whole world is just created by these square tiles. You know, I think one of them equals to a 1 meter of walking distance, the walking distance being tracked in this game as well. And by tapping backwards, Lara will go backwards not one full square, but just enough to give her a bit of a run up for that perfect jump. So this is different than the one before, because that was a standing jump. Here, this will be a run up jump. It is simple in regards of us not having to use the control key, the action key, to grab the ledge, because it's relatively close by.
Okay, this is a huge jump. So do a running jump exactly as before, except while I'm in the air, press and hold the action button to make me grab the ledge.
Okay, so just combining what we've learned, really good pacing for a tutorial, come to think of it. Just combining what we've learned, we are gonna set up a jump, make a running jump, but also use that action key to grab the ledge.
Excellent.
Now when Lara tells you excellent, you know you did something right. Now we can just safely drop here into number 5.
Try to vault up here. Press forward and hold action. I can't climb up because the gap is too small. But press right and I'll shimmy sideways until there is room. Then press forward and I'll climb right up.
Yeah, so basically this is about letting you know what sort of spaces Lara can realistically fit into.
Well done. If there's a long drop and I don't want to hurt myself jumping off, I can let myself down carefully. Tap backwards and I'll jump off backwards. Immediately press and hold the action button and I'll grab the ledge on the way down. Then let go.
I have a better way of doing this. Just hold the action key before you tap backwards, that way you know you will never miss it. And Lara will just, you know, grab, you can let go. As she said, this is useful if it's a long drop, which in this case it really isn't. They just don't want us, you know, to kill ourselves in Lara's mansion.
Next I'll show you my crawl. First, vault onto the block. Now hold down the crawl button. This will make me crouch down. And keep holding it while using the directional buttons to move me through the gap. At the end, turn around and drop me off the ledge. Make sure to keep the action button pressed or I'll fall. Now let go.
So what we can do, we can climb up the normal way using the action key and forward, but if you notice, Lara said something different. She said, grab the edge, do not press forward, but press the crawl button. Instead of standing up and you having to go to crawl, she will just immediately go into crawl. So it's a little time saver like that. And as you can see, there is more space here than in the previous crevice. We can crawl through here. Now this is a new feature to Tomb Raider 3. Which unfortunately means, as you can imagine, you know, us being gamers and by now knowing what level designers think, like, this is not a feature, this is an obstacle. Of course, now the levels will be designed in a way making us crawl, you know, and crawling is just slow, it's not
Push forward
a great deal of
and hold
fun.
down the crawl button to make me squeeze into the gap.
Okay, and this is what I explained before. However, you can use the crawl button, or you can just push the forward button. Lara will do exactly the same. But in spaces where she can stand up, you can force her to instead go into crawl by pressing the crawl.
To get to those
Very
really
intuitive
high
like
places,
that.
sometimes I'll need to climb. Let's try that now. Walk up to the climbing frame, then press and hold the action button so I'll climb up onto it. While keeping this button pressed, push forward on the directional buttons and I'll climb to the top.
Okay, now, feature new to Tomb Raider 2, not 3. We can just, you know, start pressing action key and forward. and Lara will automatically jump, which is good. She will not start climbing from the very bottom, but make a little shortcut like this on her own.
Now looking up, you'll see some monkey bars. These look like fun. Press the jump button, then immediately hold down the action button to make me jump and grab hold of the bars. Now use the directional buttons to maneuver across. Don't let go of the action key, because as soon as you do, I'll let go.
Okay, another new move to Tomb Raider 3, the monkey bars, you know, traversing ceilings. I like it, it's really good. It's like the next natural evolution of exploring all the different surfaces in Tomb Raider games. 3D exploration. We can go forward, and we can also tilt Lara like this. Unfortunately, we cannot go backwards. But by holding the walk button, you can actually strafe from side to side, which is really interesting. Ah, she did survive the fall, good. Anyway, talking about strafing, you can also use that on the ground. And I believe that as opposed to Tomb Raider 2, this is not assigned to separate keys. You can now hold the walk button and press left or press right, just like that. And the same thing works on the monkey bars and also water surface, but we'll get to that later. Okay, it's not as scary now if you know you can survive the drop, although realistically this would leave her with both legs broken, but this is Lara we're talking about.
That's great.
Okay, let's just forget about the awkward accident and yeah, sail, that's great. And now what we can do is just climb down peacefully. And we can either keep pressing the down key, or you can just release and reactivate the action key. It's much faster.
Let's sprint. Push forward and hold down the sprint button. When I reach the white line, press the jump button and I'll perform a diving roll.
Yeah, sprinting would be great without Winston getting in the way. Okay, he's out of the way. So hold the sprint key and press the jump key.
Okay. Fancy a swim?
Whew, okay, good. Winston did not get in the way. Now this is really interesting because the jump key will make a somersault, which will make Lara cover even more ground in a relatively short time. However, what you can do instead is, when you see your stamina running out, just keep holding the sprint key whilst releasing forward, and Lara will start sliding. Now this sliding is not just for show, but it has a nice effect. Let me show you. As you can see, Lara did not fall from the edge, so you can use this slide by holding the sprint key without pressing forward to make Lara safely stop sprinting. Even though it makes sense, I mean, she would still topple over and fall with that momentum, but it's kind of a safety mechanism if you just don't know what's up ahead with
the jump button and the
all
directions
certainty.
Move me around underwater.
Okay, that was very brief. Now, as you can see, the pool area has changed somewhat since the previous games, but not in the layout, more in the texture department, and oh my goodness gracious, it just had to be here. That bloody cat. I love and hate it at the same time. Okay, I think it's absolutely beautiful, you know, it looks great. It's just the ordeal we went through in the Temple of the Cat level to get to that. Although, to be fair, it's not the cat's fault, it's not the developer's fault, it's me not saving often enough kind of fault. Anyway, first of all, what we see here is a very interesting button, so why not pressing it with the action key, of course. And the bookcase opened, and who doesn't love secret bookcases in large mansions? I mean, you just have to have them installed. They give this really vintage, ancient feel, although Lara, come on, you're not fooling anyone, I bet it's running on electricity. I mean, look at that button. Anyway, Lara asked us if we fancy a swim, and of course we do. Unfortunately, I'm sad to say that, yeah, this is where Lara's mention in the first game left off, with us getting out of the water and she saying she's gonna take off her wet clothes. She's not gonna do that here either. I'm sorry to disappoint you. But we might as well make a stylish jump. By the way, if you ever catch those fires, the water's close by, so you can get doused very quickly, don't worry. Let's make a swan dive. By jumping forward whilst holding the walk key, you can make something really nice, like this. Okay, and now underwater, I actually love swimming in Tomb Raider games because it's really funny, but I feel I have more control over Lara than on the land. It's really interesting. It feels like she's flying instead of swimming. I really love it. She's so fast, so just freely movable in all directions, all degrees. It's really great. And just like in Tomb Raider 2, you can use roll to change direction. You can do this by pressing forward, backward, or by a specially assigned roll key, whatever suits you most. And yeah, we can now, by using the jump key, get onto the surface.
Just use forward, left and right to manoeuvre around on the surface. Press jump to dive down for another swim, or go to the edge and press action to climb out.
Okay, so as she said, we can just press jump to dive down. Jump is how we move underwater. And we can just move freely, you know, on the water surface, although it is very, very slow. But what we can also do is strafe whilst we're on water surface. Now, I am not entirely sure if this was possible in Tomb Raider 2. I would think not, but maybe it's just something I wasn't aware of, because it's not going to be something we are going to be using often. But you can strafe, even on monkey bars, even on the solid surface, even on water. So just think about that walk button all the time and try to apply it under different circumstances and see how Lara might surprise you.
Right, let's go and play outside.
Okay, so yeah, that's the disappointment. No taking off wet clothes, but playing outside. Now, I would strongly recommend not going outside just yet. Although, what we can do is take a peek outside, why not? It's really fun peeking out of the windows and wondering what is out there. Those experienced of you will recognize this as the next assault course. That is going to be timed as the stopwatch in our inventory screen told us. And yeah, this is the door that will unfortunately never open. A hint, if it's a solid surface that Lara doesn't run into, then the door will not open. Whereas door like this, see, it means it's a movable object, so the chances are, well, very high chances, it will open at some point. Now, Lara's asking us to go outside. We still left the upper floor unexplored, and there was the mysterious hidden bookcase. There is a lot of stuff to do, but first let me just enter here. This used to be another part of the ballroom in the second game, but now this is where the stereo was moved. For those of you expecting Venice violins, you are going to be disappointed, but still, it's a nice piece of music. One that used to scare me a lot when I was younger. It's just so dramatic, melancholic, and very dark. And yeah, of course you can climb on the table. Imagine Lara just entertaining guests, stepping all over the food, pouring stuff over. Ah, great imagination. And another door that will never open. For some reason Lara decided to have this dining area completely isolated. A couch to chill out on and a stereo to listen to. I really wonder what sort of music taste Lara has. Something posh, no doubt, which is completely fine by me. Anyway, this is the kitchen. I'll be honest, I did prefer it in Tomb Raider 2. It had these orange warm colors, whereas now it just feels, I don't know, vomit green, depressing. I really am not a fan of it. And we also cannot climb on top of the counter. There is no entering the sink this time. It has far more realistic scale. But now, being a unique object, you know, it's not really climbable upon like the solid tiles. And yeah, this is basically a duty we have to carry out. Now you can see this amazing freeze particle effect is actually just like flames, smoke. This is also new to Tomb Raider 3, these graphical things. I remember running this game on our very first PC. The frame rate drops this freezer used to cause, it was massive. And I see Lara's stock of hams has not diminished. Good. So there you are, Winston. You've been bothering us in the gym. We would really like more flexibility, so we can just do without you. Seriously. Okay, let's see you get out of there now, you idiot. You know, you'd think he would learn after the previous installment. Well, in terms of Tomb Raider, after previous year. But apparently not. But without spoiling too much, this old bastard has quite a few tricks up his sleeve. Let's not underestimate him. Now, since we are still on the ground floor, before we leave through the ground entrance, let's first investigate the mysterious bookcase over here. Okay, and now run like a devil. Don't start sprinting instantly, make sure you do it a bit later. to be able to make that somersault through the door. If you start sprinting straight away, you won't be able to do it with a somersault, and it might be impossible to get it in at that point. Should you miss it, just, you know, re-pull the lever and start over again. Now, yeah, we have a button to get out of our way, but first, this is kind of a treasury room, you know, the one Lara had in her basement in Tomb Raider 2. It's great. Lara mounted a T-Rex head on top of the fireplace. I mean, imagine her explaining this to a taxidermist. Okay, you do bears, great, you do wild boars. Have you ever done a Tyrannosaur, a T-Rex, to make no mistake? It's really hilarious, to be honest. Okay, so what we see here is, well, are the pieces of the fragmented Atlantean Scion. If you've played Tomb Raider 1, you probably remember what Lara did to it. She took out her pair of Uzis and shot it to pieces, thus stopping more of those demonic creatures from hatching from Natla's hive that we then destroyed in the Unfinished Business expansion. So I kind of wonder if those fragments still contain some amazing knowledge, but maybe they contain even some other video games. Hard to say. It's kind of like a CD-ROM drive for an ancient race. Anyway, moving on to the next relic. This one is a bit of an enigma. I have this information from Stella's Tomb Raider site, a link to which I'll provide in the description, but apparently this is supposed to be kind of an Easter egg from the developers. This is supposed to be a combination of the Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark Golden Idol at the very beginning, you know, classical scene, you've probably seen it, and it's supposed to have a face of one of the level designers of Tomb Raider 3. It's kind of a mashup like that. My first thoughts really were, this is a golden idol, you know, from the city of Wilkabamba in Tomb Raider 1. But then I realized, nah, it has a shape, well, in 3 like that, but that one was way more colorful and smaller. So what I think is, it could somehow be the golden mask of Tornarsuk from the Golden Mask expansion from Tomb Raider 2. I think that would make a perfect sense progression-wise. We have the Scion from Tomb Raider 1, we have the Golden Mask from Tomb Raider 2 expansion. Now, of course, that meaning we have the beautiful, wonderful, amazing dagger of Jeanne from Tomb Raider 2. The one Bartoli Stux tried to take away from us, just safely stored in here and spinning somehow. I'm not sure if it's the dagger spinning or the case, because if you take a look at the object next to it, it's exactly the same kind of case and the same kind of spinning animation. So it could be the case, it could be the artifacts, hard to say. However, what this is, well, at this point, an enigma. Later in Tomb Raider 4 and Tomb Raider 5, Revelations and Chronicles, this interesting artifact will be expanded upon. It is a so-called iris. There is an evil big company and a rich evil guy who really want to get their hands on this, but yeah, I'm not going to be spoiling the plot of the following games. For now, this was one of the first artifacts Lara has discovered when she was a child. Suffered a loss of a close person over it, but now she has it stored here. So she had it during Tomb Raider 1 and 2 as well, we just didn't really see it. Let's be honest, the developers didn't really come up with it yet at that point. Still, I like the fact that this is built upon in the following games. It makes the whole world just feel more immersive. Okay, now we have to press the button twice. Once to somehow trigger the closing, even though that was already triggered by the lever, and then again to trigger opening. Now, let's go upstairs. Now that we've explored the treasury, there is an even more impressive secret to be found in Lara's mansion. Yeah, that's the bedroom with what I think is the face of Lara's, well, what I thought was the face of Lara's father. A medieval goblin. I'm not sure if they are just horses or unicorns, but it has this fairy tale-ish kind of atmosphere around it. Now, first we see a button and a mysterious door. Those of you who play Tomb Raider 2 probably know where this leads, but let's go there later. I just want the door to be open for a reason that will become apparent in a little bit of time. Now we can go left, or we can check the door here, which, as I've said, if it's a solid surface, it will unfortunately never open. So there is no telling what's behind that door, what's behind this paneling. What kind of secret could it be? Ah, the mysteries. But it's great, you know, little teases like these keep our imagination rolling. And oh my goodness, what is that? There used to be a maze behind the garden fence, but now there is a... well, something that looks like a racetrack, don't you think? Okay. We'll get to that area as well, but first the music room. There is a lovely piano, which looks way better than before. There used to be a harp in here in Tomb Raider 1. I'm not entirely sure what happened with it. And there we have the stereo. Look at this TV screen. I mean, back in 1998, this must have been top of the line, you know, just costing a fortune. Nowadays, it's just really unimpressive. It's just interesting to see how the time has moved on. And a couch for Lara to watch, although from a really considerable distance. I would need to wear my glasses to see anything. Yeah, and let's take another look outside. This area has been such a source of mystery to me when I was younger. I had no idea how to reach that place. Because, well, we didn't really have internet back then, and we played the game in poor graphics on our very first PC. And exactly because of that, we missed this detail on the bookcase over here. Oh yeah, a book that sticks out mysteriously enough. As you can see, this is a room where we really seen Lara in action for the very first time in Tomb Raider 1, entering Lara's home level. This window over here that Lara was overlooking, and she took us on a guided tour. Those were her precise words back then. Okay, so yeah, once again fireplace. You'd be kind of scared to stay away from the fire, but now that I'm playing the game in actually decent graphics, you know, things are not blurry, I can see the textures are a bit different, and there's a book sticking out of the bookcase. I remember our cousins tend to tell me and my brother there was a book in the bookcase, and we didn't believe them. We had every inch of this mansion covered by then, but suddenly, now that our attention has been drawn to it, there it is. So when you press the action key, Lara flips it around, and you have a limited amount of time to go into the fireplace and start climbing quickly before the fire will turn on again. So yeah, it's kind of a dangerous secret since you have only a very limited amount of time, but there it is. So with a little observation, you can just get into, well, up the chimney. I'm not actually sure how the smoke is escaping this place. I mean, how come we are not suffocating by now? No idea. And we see a very secret part of the attic. Now, first of all, this is a climbable. Yes, it's climbable, but also a movable block, a feature that's been there since the very first Tomb Raider. It's always interesting to see what different textures they will come up with, but a little secret underneath, more flares underneath the block. Now let's leave the block right where it is, because we'll have to be pulling the next block. Now, for those of you not familiar with moving blocks, Lara will always need either one extra free space behind her or ahead of the block, depending on which direction she is pushing it. In this case, this serves our purposes just fine. We want to push the block out, not further in, because that will just block our way, because there is a small step getting in the way. Unfortunately, whilst I like the puzzle element of blocks, I really am not fond of the execution. Why is it so slow, and why does moving a block after each tile have to be a separate animation? Why cannot be a chain of events? Why do we have to start over and over and over and over? And this is something they improved in the last revelation, I think, although by then there isn't that much moving of blocks around. I wish this would have been implemented since the very first Tomb Raider. And yes, this is the attic we've seen in Tomb Raider 2, which served no other purpose, but now, next to Tomb Raider 3, we know it did all along, of course. And it's great, you know, now looking back at the previous games, if you're replaying them, it just adds a little bit of spice to everything. And I have also used a flare, and you can see the dynamic lighting in action. It's really interesting. The transitions are way smoother than before. You can explore the different corners and so on. Although the dynamic lighting is something of an issue in the PS1 version of the game. Now, I have played PS1 version on my PS Vita via PSN Store, and oh dear, it's so different. The frame rate is lower, you cannot save wherever you want, and the lighting. The game is so very dark. the flares illuminate very little, and especially dark underwater areas. Basically, PlayStation 1 could not handle dynamic lighting too well, whereas the PC version does just fine. The PC versions have always been superior to the console ones, in case of Tomb Raiders. Okay, let's press the lever, and we see the door opening. Now let's just pick up a flare and be on our way ASAP. Why? Well, the door is, as you would expect, timed. It is the same door we opened via the switch in the garden maze in Tomb Raider 2. So, for those of you experienced with the previous Lara's home, you might kind of think, wait, it's probably timed again, you know? And you would be exactly right, it is. And we can just stay and observe how much time we had. By pressing the spacebar, we can drop the flare, but if you press the flare key again, you can throw it. That's the difference. Actually, we can use flares from our inventory, as this lovely animation, but you can of course use a hotkey for that. If you just press the flare key again, Lara will throw it, which is very useful if you wanna, you know, put it down some hole. But if you press the space key, Lara will just instantly drop it. The reason is Lara would pull out her guns and thus drop the flare. Now, we have no guns at this point, although we have gun holsters. That tells you something about this level, doesn't it? Okay, anyway, later about that. We can of course use the switch to get out, and we will, just like from the treasury room. But the place we are going now was the treasury room in Tomb Raider 2, but now it is something else entirely. It's Lara's little underground hidey hole from all the stress of the surface world, and it's an aquarium, a fish tank containing exotic fishes from, as we'll learn later in the game, from Pacific. And she has this bookcase here, sofa, and once again the creepy old face. But I really love this. Lara just having a little place to cool down, relax after a day of exercise, arguing with publishers about her write-ups and all that sort of stuff, and just complete isolation surrounded by fish. I mean, this is such an amazing idea. I absolutely love it. I wish I could ever own something like this. And behind the glass, what we see here is, well, there is an item to be picked up. It looks like a two-dimensional race victory cup. It's really interesting. I wonder how the hell it got there. I bet there is some fish feeding mechanism, and Winston, being the old shaky bastard he is, dropped it in there somehow. Anyway, that's not all there is to it. There is a hole in the ground, and by now you know how to move blocks. You just use the control, the action key, and either go back or forward. Now you might be confused, okay, so how do I climb a block? If you're used to using the action key forward kind of shortcut, you can just always jump and use the action key to grab manually. Or just, you know, jump on top of them by a standing or running jump. Entirely up to you. But the action forward will not work on movable blocks. Lara will prioritize moving them, which is fair enough. That's what these blocks are here for. Once again, if there's no solid surface ahead of you, you have to make a jump and grab the ledge. Action forward will not work in all instances, as you can see. Now, if we go forward, we will drop as expected into the fish tank. Now, don't worry, these are not piranhas or anything like that. These are really just adorable fish. And by now you're also familiar with swimming, so this is, well, this can theoretically be dangerous because you have a very limited amount of time, well, very limited, based on Lara's breath, and you cannot just resurface anywhere. So, you know, it's a little bit dangerous, I guess, as opposed to the swimming pool, but by now you are familiar with the controls. You can just pick up that mysterious object and make it back. Now, talking about mysterious objects, if we go back into the inventory screen, you can see arrows pointing upwards have appeared. This is items, actually key items or quest items, or however you would like to call them, kind of ring. And here we see what it is. It's a racetrack key. This is the space of the inventory reserved for all these kind of key objects. Or quest objects. Basically important unexpendable items, or if they are expendable, they are to open some areas that we need to go through to progress. So we have a racetrack key, and, well, you might remember us peeking out from a window facing some racetrack in the distance, and yes, we will get to it in due time. For now, ever since we left the original pool in the gym, Lara suggested let's play outside. That's what we are going to do. I'm not actually entirely sure if the door will close on its own or if it will remain open, but either way we can just, you know, activate it from the attic again. It's not much of a hassle. Of course the door opens, so we have to go all the way around it. But just in case locking Winston in the freezer wasn't your kind of thing, but by now you are annoyed by him, just feel free to lock him inside the mansion. All the doors leading into the mansion are now closed. Now, if you remember from Tomb Raider 2, this is where she had a couple of trees, and this was the end of the assault course. That's exactly what this is as well. It's leading to the end of the assault course. It will open once we finish the assault course. For now, we can really actually admire the beautiful gardens she has here, and look at the improved textures. The mansion looks absolutely amazing, I think. And yeah, there is also the main gate, and we can press the key to open it, but this is actually how we leave the Lara's home. I don't want to do that just yet. First we have things to do. Now the creepy fish fountain has been replaced by a really majestic horse fountain, which really fits in the British kind of theme, you know, the horses. And yeah, what we see here is a keyhole. Now we can use the racetrack key, but first let's explore the assault course if we go further up ahead. Now yeah, don't forget you have sprint fully at your disposal. Some people say this is really a feature that should have been included in the very first game. If it would, of course, the level designers would adjusted the levels for Lara needing to utilize the sprint, like we've seen in the secret treasury entrance. But yeah, it's not really needed in that many areas.
Let's
unlike
see how
crawling.
quickly the assault course can be completed. Are you ready?
Lara, you are so rude interrupting me. Unlike crawling, this is actually a feature, you know. It's necessary in just a few areas, but mostly you can use it to get around faster. Now, this takes us back, doesn't it, to the beginning of Tomb Raider 2 with Winston, the creepy bastard, standing next to us. We can, of course, now see how quickly we can complete the assault course. Now, I make no claim in actually being good at this. I am, of course, going to do my best, but we'll see. Oh, god damn it. Almost made it. Oh well, should have set up a jump, would have saved some time. Anyway, we can slide and... Okay, just barely hit the water there. We could have made a better jump a bit later, to grab the ladder later, thus grabbing it a bit higher up. But that's fine, we're not breaking world records here. And there are many shortcuts, glitchless shortcuts you can take through the assault course, but I would now like to demonstrate the different side jumps we can do, which I haven't had the chance to do in the gym. And from here we can just make a running jump into the patch of water you might have noticed in the corner. But we are going to do this the honest, intended way, because we want to practice Lara's different moves. So we are going to monkey swing across. I love the expression monkey swing. And yeah, actually do not tilt Lara like I just did, because it will just lengthen the trajectory and make you take longer to get across. And yeah, a little swimming through the tunnel, just like in Tomb Raider 2. This part hasn't changed at all, actually. Now we can climb here, and yes, like in Tomb Raider 2, we'll be using zipline to get across the chasm. I'm not actually sure what would happen if we would instead, you know, go via ground, because I think it would be faster, but maybe that does not count as the assault course, and the time would just, you know, stop counting. You can have a run up and immediately press the walk key to make sure Lara will not fall off. You can also do that as you are running. Press and hold the action key to make sure Lara will slide into that gap and not hit her head. Now we are using the crawl key. We will pick up, yes, guns in Lara's home. I know this is absolutely amazing. And now we'll be putting those guns to good use. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you how they look in the inventory screen and the sweet sound they make if you select them like this. Okay, target practice. Just keep shooting and after a while they will fall. Be very careful what tiles you step onto, as this will trigger the different targets. Okay, Lara. And Winston, that bastard, somehow made it out of the freezer. I told you he has tricks up his sleeve. We even locked the mansion and he's still out trying to distract Lara from the real targets. That son of a bitch, but I think we got all of them. That's very good.
Gosh, that was fast. But I'm sure you can do better.
And it's possible we missed a target, because if you see up top, there seems to be a 10-second penalty for a missed target, but 8 seconds on top of that. I was never actually really clear on that. What the hell does it mean? Either way, really, you can just take your time if you want, shooting the different targets. Do not just run straight into there, otherwise all of them will pop up. The reason that is not good is that there is only a limited time during which the targets will be visible. I think this is the target we missed. As you can see, it's collapsed in a different way. They are just sprung up for a very limited amount of time, and you have to deal a certain enough damage to make them fall. Now, what do we do about you? Look, here's a target painted on his belly. He has his old army uniform. I told you he was a war veteran. Well, I told you that like 2 years ago, but still. And he's still holding that bloody platter. Okay. See that? See right that this is Lara's and Winston's relationship at its best right here. Look at it. I absolutely love doing this. That's for sticking your nose out of the freezer, you bastard. Okay. So as you can see, since the previous game, so many things have changed about Lara's mansion. Now, we can also check our assault course time, 2:53.40 in the watch. Actually, it does not only track the best time, it tracks different times. I think last time it tracked like 3 different times for the assault course. The best time being highlighted in purple, the others will be white. But yeah, I think the world record is 1 minute 43 seconds, which is, oh my god, so impressive. I mean the world glitchless record, as in not using any exploits or glitches to make it through the assault course more quickly. There is of course a glitchy speedrun as well, you know. I will try to provide a link to these videos in the description below, and you can just check, you know, which one is your favorite. They are both really great examples of a fan's dedication. Now, we have a racetrack key, so we might as well use it. But before we get inside, you have probably noticed Quadbike Track, no time set. Yes, that's what this racetrack is all about.
Hey, I like the look of this.
So do I, Lara. Trust me, so do I.
To jump on, walk up to the vehicle and press the action button.
Okay, now where do I even start explaining the quad bike controls? Oh, there is a lot to cover. I would probably say you can of course go back, you can go forward, but this time you go back via the jump key, you go forward via the action key. You also can use a sprint key to get into a bit of a turbo mode. And there is also a handbrake key, which I believe is the flare key? No, let me see. I seem to remember there being a handbrake key. Ah, there it is. It is the sprint key after all. Okay, good. I'm sorry, just bear with me for a while. So, instead of starting out with via the action key, what we can do is hold the sprint key. Now hold the action key. And now that you see, you know, Lara all revved up, ready to go, release the sprint key.
Let's go as fast as we can.
Exactly, working on that, Lara. And now just keep holding that action key and making the turns as best as you can. Uh-oh, big jump. Okay, no, I kind of always expect Lara to explode upon impact. If you've played the previous Tomb Raider, you know what was going on with the snow scooters all the time. Okay, but I need to focus now. Okay, very easy to get stuck in there with the quad bike. Very unfortunate. Oh, we took a little damage, nothing major. Okay, sharp turn. You can actually jump over the green fence over here and make it to the goal much quicker. Okay, but this time we were not congratulated by Lara for finishing this. I don't know why, maybe we really did poorly. But once again, you can check the Quadbike Track score on your stopwatch. Now, in order to leave the Quadbike, this gets a bit confusing. In Tomb Raider 2 it was jump to the side. Since jump is now going backwards, we cannot do that. Just use the roll key to get out of the Quadbike, and use one of the directions so you can tell Lara which way to get out. You know, if there's a burning piece of lava right to your left, you probably want to exit the vehicle on your right. There is also a little crawl space over here, which I'm not sure what purpose this serves, because as you can see, this will lead to the sharp turn area where just a short while ago, now being so very slopey, what's the word now, you cannot really climb up, not even with a quad bike as far as I'm aware. So yeah, I guess if your quad bike gets stuck here, but still you can just, you know, leave like this, like an ordinary person. But if Lara's anything, she is not an ordinary person. So really, it's just a small tunnel serving a very unknown purpose. I haven't really seen any walkthroughs that would really talk about this tunnel or explain what purpose it serves. It's just there for whatever reason. Oh my god, Winston, you don't even have a tea for us. I absolutely see no reason for you to bother us now at this point. Now, I think that about covers most of it. There is still something I'd like to show you, a magnificent view. You probably know what's gonna happen now, right? In Tomb Raider 2, I was looking for a way out of Lara's home via suicidal means. What I'm doing right now is corner glitching. If you set up Lara in a 45 degrees angle by checking with the look button if this wall over here is splitting her head in half, you should be able to tilt her and she will start merging with the wall to her right. The game will then realize, wait, she cannot be within a block, therefore it will make Lara spawn on top of a block. The reason I'm doing this is, do not worry, I don't plan to kill Lara off in her own home this time. It is to just show you what, you know, the area looks like from up top, from the perspective. We can check the assault course, the different targets over there, the little patch of water, and we can just, you know, go on top of the roofs. As you can see, the roof texture, it's really not that great. Clearly the developers, well, either didn't expect us, although I think that's unlikely. I think they just couldn't really be bothered with, you know, adding a roof texture for a place Lara should not even be in. And as you can see, the assault course is missing textures from the top as well. Now there is a chimney, which is a nice piece of detail, but there is also a very strange texture right over here. I have absolutely no idea what this is supposed to be, but there it is. Hard to say in the world of map editing what's going on all the time. Okay, I would really not like to fall down. We were doing so great, yeah. So that's the assault course in its entirety. Let me just give you a closer look. There it is. Magnificent view, isn't it? And from this side, actually... My god, the roof has so many different patches. It's... so many spots. Okay, so from this roof we can just see part of the assault course before it really goes underground. There we park the vehicle, there's the strange tunnel, and we can just barely see what's behind the second green fence. There we see the roof of the swimming pool as well. By using this corner glitch you can just actually safely drop onto the roof of the swimming pool and jump over the fence into the race course if you do not possess the key. But yeah, let me see, I would really like to get on top of Lara's, well, on Lara's balcony. And maybe we can try if we can shoot through the windows, although I find that to be very unlikely. Okay, I think I mistook a corner. Let's follow the assault course. It should be that corner right over there. Okay, let's be very careful now. Ah, there it is, the balcony. Amazing. Okay, but there is quite the drop. Holy hell. Now, how the hell are we gonna get down? Because if we'll use that latch, Yeah, I'm not super confident about this. As in, at all. Let me see. Let me check a different perspective, maybe. Oh dear, this is all slippery. Yeah, I'm worried there is no safe way to get on top of Lara's balcony. And that definitely was not what I had in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, there's just no avoiding this. Okay.
Welcome back to my humble abode. Feel free to take a look around.
What I wanted to do was get on top of the balcony and then safely from the balcony onto the ground. But instead, you can just, as you can see from the main menu ring, you can restart Lara's mansion. And this time you will find yourself with the racetrack key in your inventory, meaning you will no longer find it in the fish tank, and you can just insert the key over there and, you know, try to beat your previous scores with the racetrack key. So actually, us dying is a good thing, because this is a good example of showing you that Lara's home status will carry over and save. You can now keep returning to it and trying to beat your assault scores and Quadbike Track times. Quadbike, wow, okay. So yeah, at least the reward for all we did are those times and the racetrack key. The pistols we do not possess, we need to basically pick them up at the assault course all over again. And if you can see, Winston has changed back into his former suit and is chasing us relentlessly. So the very last final thing that remains to be done in Lara's mansion is this.
Now it's time for our third adventure.
Yes. When you walk through this gate, you see this short outside area. We will find ourselves exiting Lara's home level. And there we are. That's it for Lara's home. I hope you guys found it interesting, learned a few tricks of the trade, of the tomb raiding trade, so to speak. And yeah, I try to show you as much of secrets Lara's mansion is showing as possible, you know. So next time I will see you in the jungle.